Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This will be the last video of the week. I'll be going through the final 7 games of the week and just getting through every single fantasy relevant player in each matchup and just doing what I can to help you guys get your lineup set here. So I went over the first set of games earlier on in the week. If you guys are looking for a game that I don't talk about in this one, I highly recommend you guys go watch that video as well. With any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments as well. I really do love helping you guys out there. It's a lot of fun for me, and it's really important here, right? We're into week 11. We've got really tough decisions to make every single week. We want to make sure that we're winning each of our next 4 games to really position ourselves the best we can for those playoff matchups. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. We will start things off here with a matchup between the Bucks and the Bills. Should be a really great game, obviously. This is 2 really good teams, 2 teams whose offenses we know can put up points. So hopefully we get a fun matchup here. On the Bucks side of the ball, Egbuka is the only true must-start here. I feel decent about Cade Otton and Tez Johnson. We're going to be going one more week without Chris Godwin and without Bucky Irving, so it makes Egbuka incredibly necessary to the offense. It makes Otton and Tez far more important as well. So those guys are lower tier guys that I feel okay about starting. Rachaad White, probably the running back I would play over Sean Tucker, even though Sean Tucker got more work last week. Rachaad White was the guy that did end up with a lot larger of a snap share. This could be a high-scoring game, a lot of passing volume. I think Rachaad White still profiles like a lower-end running back too. Then Baker Mayfield, like a low-end quarterback 1 you can use in this one. For the Bills, Josh Allen and James Cook are must-starts every single week. We're not going to have Dalton Kincaid in this one with the hamstring injury. Khalil Shakir also still up in the air. I was limited on practice yesterday. Haven't seen the report yet today. This is Friday. I'm recording it at like noon on my lunch break. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Khalil Shakir is a guy that you could maybe flex if you have to, but it doesn't get me very excited. If Khalil Shakir misses, I think Dawson Knox is a decent dart throw, is a decent shot to score a touchdown. Keon Coleman may be like a lower-end wide receiver option as well if you had to go there. But it's not great, obviously. So I would prefer, honestly, to sit everybody outside of Josh Allen and James Cook. But, somebody's probably going to be good enough to use. So if you need to take a shot there, there's going to be options available. Next, we got a game between the Bengals and the Steelers. Hopefully, we just get a repeat of this last matchup here where the 2 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks just dueled it out and we ended up with a really high-scoring game. Sort of expecting that, to be completely honest. So Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, and T. Higgins are all probably just must-starts here. Joe Flacco, really solid streaming option. The Steelers' defense just isn't one that scares us based off of what we've seen so far this season. Jaylen Warren, DK Metcalf, both got to be in here. The Bengals are a fantastic matchup. DK Metcalf obviously hasn't been phenomenal so far this season, or at least over the last couple of weeks, so it's a little bit iffy. But if we can't get it to work against the Bengals, it's going to be tough for this to just not work out. One thing I'll highlight though with the Bengals, DJ Turner, their corner, really the only good player on their entire defense. So we've seen this happen a couple times with opposing number ones where DJ Turner just shadows them, does a good enough job, and then everybody else on the defense is so bad that everyone else eats. So we could see a repeat of what we saw a couple weeks ago where just all the tight ends score a lot and then DK sort of gets shut down a little bit. We saw that a couple weeks ago where Roma Odunze got a goose even though the Bengals gave up 30-plus points to the Bears. So just keep that in mind. That could happen. It does mean Aaron Rodgers is still a solid streaming option if you have to go there. I don't want to play any of the tight ends if I can avoid it, but if you're really desperate, you could look there as well. Next up here, we've got the Cardinals hosting the 49ers. For the Niners, Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are must-starts, and it sounds like we're going to get Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall back in this one. I'd prefer to play the wait-and-see game here. I don't think either of these guys are they're not good enough that you want to just force them into your lineup after the long time off here, but I just keep an eye on them. If you had to play Pearsall, you could, but I just prefer to wait and see it for 1 week. For the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. going to miss this game with appendicitis, so they're basically down to just Trey McBride as the only good player on the offense now. He's a must-start every single week. Jacoby Brissett, low-end streaming option. You could do worse than. I do have a league where I'm playing him because I had Jackson Dart and Daniel Jones. So Daniel Jones on bye, Jackson Dart not available. Got to pivot to Brissett in that one. So if you're in a spot like that, you could look at someone like Brissett this week. Then if you really have to, Michael Wilson, not the worst start throw. You had Zay Jones tear his Achilles last week. We've got no Marvin Harrison, so you're looking at Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch probably playing 90+% of the snaps in this game. It means they'll probably get a little bit of production. If you had to go there, you could do worse. Then I'd prefer to sit the Arizona running backs here. I think if you have to play one, it's probably Amari DiMercado. But they just don't really want to give him a whole lot of work. I just don't really want to trust that there. I'd prefer to sit all those guys. Next, we got a really fun game, maybe the game of the weekend here, with the Seahawks going to Los Angeles to play the Rams. On the Seahawks side of the ball, JSN is a must-start every single week. It's honestly okay to sit every other Seahawk, though. The Rams have been a really phenomenal defense, and nobody else has really cemented themselves as like a dominant asset here. If I had to play a running back, I would play Kenneth Walker over Charbonnet, but it's tough to play either one of those guys. The floor really is near zero for both of them. Sam Darnold, more of a low end quarterback one here. He's been playing really well, but the matchup's not fantastic. The Rams are a legitimately good defense. If I had to play another wide receiver, I think Rashid Shaheed is at least someone we could look at. I'd expect him to be able to ramp up a little bit more quickly into this offense because of his familiarity with Kubiak. Always a threat to score deep touchdowns. You could do worse than him, but of course there's a near zero floor there. And then Stafford for the Rams. He's hard to sit right now, just playing phenomenal, especially if Devontae Adams plays. It sounds like he's going to. Sort of had that old man injury last week. Made a move. It seemed like his back tightened up on him. So we'll see how he is. But assuming he suits up in this one, it really does elevate what Stafford can do because they just use him so much in the red zone that we're seeing the touchdown numbers spike this year for Stafford. So both those guys are in. If Adams plays, if Adams sits, I'd be more willing to bench Stafford. And then every single week, Puka and Kyren are in. You just can't sit those guys. Next, we got a really important game in the AFC West here between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Kind of expecting another gross game here. Denver has not really given us a whole lot of fun football to watch so far this season, and the Chiefs have a good defense in their own right. The Broncos have a phenomenal defense, so it just makes it tough to really expect a whole lot of fireworks in this game. That being said, Patrick Mahomes is more of a low-end quarterback one. You're still probably playing him. Kareem Hunt, low-end running back 2 for me this week. You can play him. He's going to be alone one more week without Pacheco. Brashard Smith was pretty uninvolved last time they played, so I think Kareem Hunt's a decent option. And then Rashee Rice is just, of course, the must-start. Probably playing Travis Kelce in this one as well. And then Worthy, I just can't really trust, even if he does suit up. For the Broncos, RJ Harvey feels like a solid running back 2 here. I don't think it's been officially announced yet, but J.K. Dobbins is not going to play in this game. That means Harvey's going to get a lot more work. We'll probably be a little bit annoyed by how much work Tyler Bidet gets, but Harvey's clearly the best player they have in the backfield now. He should get a lot of work. And then honestly, if you want to sit every other Bronco, I think you could do that. Again, the Broncos have been horrendous on offense lately. They just put up 10 points against the Raiders. The Chiefs are a much better defense than that. Bo Nix has not been good other than some fourth quarter magic that really shouldn't be very repeatable going forward. Sutton hasn't been good for several weeks. Troy Franklin's been good enough, but it's just tough to trust that. I would prefer to probably just sit every Bronco not named RJ Harvey in this one. Next, we get an NFC North matchup between the Ravens and the Browns. For the Ravens, Lamar and Derrick Henry are must-starts every single week. Tough to really sit Zay Flowers in this one, but again, it is the Browns matchup. It could easily be a lower-scoring game. I do like Mark Andrews rest of season, but this matchup just a little bit tough. I don't expect the Ravens to need to throw the ball a lot to win this game. It does lower his ceiling a little bit, but they use him so much in the red zone that you can always flex him or throw him in your tight end spot there. For the Browns, Quinshon Judkins is really the only Brown I want to play. If you have to play Jerry Jeudy, you could do that. This should be a negative game script for Cleveland. We saw 12 targets last week. It's tough to just completely ignore that. And then Njoku and Harold Fannin, both low-end plays. I would play Mark Andrews over both of them. So I think you can generally do better, but if you have to play either one of them, there are at least lower-end options that you can look at and hope to score a touchdown. We get another really good one here. We've got the Lions at the Eagles. For the Lions, Amon-Ra, Laporta, and Gibbs are all going to be must-starts every single week. Really hard to sit Jameson Williams right now as well. Been really good 3 of the last 4 weeks. Most notably last week, he was phenomenal, and it was the week where Dan Campbell took over play calling. So maybe that's a trend there. They were number 2 in points per game scored before they made the play calling shift. So if you're doing that, you clearly just had something you didn't like, and then seeing that happen and coincide with Jameson Williams really having a breakout game this year makes Jameson feel a little bit better going forward. Jared Goff, Montgomery, you can sit them if you have to. This game could easily turn into a shootout, so I'm okay playing both of them as well, but we saw the Eagles last week. Their games can also turn into just really low-scoring games because the Eagles have such a good defense. The Lions' defense isn't bad either, and the Eagles' offense has not been what we really want it to be, so it's okay to sit those two because this game could easily go one or two ways. For the Eagles, Saquon and Jalen Hurts must starts every single week. I would probably be playing both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith as well here. I think I'd play Devonta Smith over A.J. Brown, but those guys aren't necessarily must starts, but in a matchup like this, it's just like there's a chance this game goes to 35-35, and if that happens, all of these guys are going to have awesome games, and the ceiling is there, so it's tough to bench those guys. And Dallas Goedert as well. Probably in. Tight end's tough. And the Eagles have actually been using Dallas Goedert quite a bit. Again, this is a game that could easily end up being a barn burner. And if that happens, you're going to want Goedert in your lineup. And finally, we've got Monday Night Football here. We've got the Cowboys going to Vegas to play the Raiders. We're going to start all the Cowboys here. The Raiders are not a good defense, contrary to what the Broncos might have made you think last week. You get CD, Pickens, and Javonte as must-starts. Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott, lower-end options that I probably still want to play in this one. And then on the Raiders side of the ball, Genti and Brock Bowers are both must-starts. Phenomenal matchup for them as well. The Cowboys are not a good defense. I think we all know that. It makes guys like Geno Smith and Trey Tucker lower-end options you could look at. You'd have to be pretty desperate in my mind to play those guys, but the matchups there, I think if you're going to play them ever the rest of the year, this is the matchup you're going to do it in. So like if you're rostering Trey Tucker and you're not going to play him this week, just cut him because you're not going to use him ever. Same thing with Geno Smith. So keep those guys in mind. And then like a super deep league, Tyler Lockett kind of annoyingly involved, so you could go there if you had to. Playing more snaps than he honestly should be with how the Raiders are looking this year. No point in them using him because they should just be evaluating guys like Besh and Thornton. But they're not doing that, so Lockett's a guy you can use if you have to. So that'll do it for the starts and sits this week. Up next, we'll get into waivers for next week, so stay tuned for that video. We'll be into week 12. It'll also be a big week for trade videos because a lot of trade deadlines are next week. Some leagues I'm in actually even have their trade deadlines this week, so a lot of content going to come out next week. It's going to be really important. We want to make sure we keep getting our lineup set for the playoffs there. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get access to the future videos. There's waivers, trade videos, start sets every single week, so make sure you subscribe there. Give this video a thumbs up, please, if you haven't already and you made it this far. Hopefully you found it helpful, and the thumbs up really does help me. So I appreciate you guys. Good luck this week. Any specific questions, let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.